Okay, well, I guess I'll start.
Go for it. Go nuts.
So for Rainbow Six Patriots, we're using the Anvil engine, which is an internal engine at Ubisoft. So a lot of time we spent actually refactoring the game to work with that engine. It's a more solid base, it's more modern, so it's what we're using. And of course, I mean, there's a ton of new tech that's coming in, especially for things like animation, for example.
Oh, segue, nice. Yeah, Anvil was, of course, the technology we've been using here at Ubisoft for the Assassin's Creed games. So it only seemed natural to take advantage of that technology because years and years have been spent developing it, and now we have Rainbow Six Patriots will be running in Anvil as well. As per the conversation about the animation, there's been some proprietary software being designed just recently to help us showcase humanity in our game in areas like facial animation. This is something we've been investing a lot of time and energy in as well.
Right. Anvil will allow us.
Zing!
Zing. Right. Anvil will allow us to actually realize humanity in a shooter that we've only talked about previously. For this Rainbow Six, it's very important that we attain extremely high quality performances in all the human characters that we see. So a lot of the pioneering work from Anvil and the Assassins team has made its way into Rainbow Six, which is our squad-based tactical shooter. So of course we added a multiplayer backbone that I think our fans are going to be extremely happy to see in play. And we've also made it into a long to mid-range shooter, which is something that Assassins didn't originally have, but that we needed. So we've expanded the capabilities of Assassin's Anvil engine for Rainbow Six. Certainly in a shooter, you want a high degree of articulation in hands and fingers because the relationship with the weapon or the firearm is paramount. I mean, you need that to be authentic and to be extremely precise. But it goes farther than that because we wanted to see true biomechanical correctness and a level of detail we've never seen in the human, respect for human anatomy and movement through space, respect for gravity. So, for example, in this Rainbow Six, we're focusing on a heightened relationship between the characters and the environment. So it means, yes, we have great animations of running through the environment, but when we slam into cover, you're going to feel it. Do you want to talk about?
Sure.
I'll
just jump in. Just like David was saying, we spent like a lot of time focusing, just so much energy on humanity is one of the biggest focuses on this project. Really, to sum that up, in a couple areas that we've actually been sort of applying this concept of humanity would be the facial technology. Obviously, we want to make sure that we bring it up a level, not just in the cinematics in the game, but also just in the game itself. We want it to be able to see emotions on faces. I want to be, in the middle of a fight, and obviously our teammates are so important in this game, so we want to be looking to see how they're making out and how they're faring in a fight. And when I look over them, I'm not just going to see them just returning fire, I'm going to see them reacting to the situation, the context of the situation, and how they actually feel about this gunfight. So it's this is obviously something we needed to do, and the biomechanics as well goes obviously past just the facial animations and goes right into the body animations, and just body awareness is something we really wanted to spend some time on as well, just to kind of piggyback off things that David said. Body awareness was really important for us as well, because really we're trying to supply the player with the experience of really being there, and this falls apart if we look at our teammates and they have blank expressions on their face. This falls apart if we look down, we don't see a shadow or we don't see our feet. These things just start to destroy that illusion that we've spent so much time and effort supplying, and we didn't want that to happen. So we really pushed the envelope in these areas.
I think the challenge for us on a mechanics standpoint is that getting that humanity means that the slightest stumble from our AI is going to look 10 times worse than it would if we didn't care that much. So we're talking about hundreds, even thousands of new AI rules that dictate what they should do in every given situation. If we want them to look human, they need to act like humans would, which means not perfect, but at the same time not, completely in the uncanny valley where you go, this is a robot, reaction. This is very new. It's very, very complicated. It's very time consuming, but the end result is really good. It does mean that we've taken on a gigantic task for our AI and our teammates. It's really much, much further than we've gone before, but we're just confident that the end result is worth it.
Well, being the main feedback to a player in a shooting game is sort of important to invest in this area. We want to, when we show up, there's going to be so many moments in the game where you are going to happen upon AI, and they're not just going to be sitting there guarding their post. They're going to be, they have an agenda, right? They're there, they're doing something. They have it, and it fits in perfectly, of course, with the fiction and the narrative of the game. So when we show up, we come around that corner. They really are doing something. We need the tech to and just the animation assets to back all that up. So they have to be able to, provide this subtext, and they have to be able to react naturally and seamlessly out of it as well.
So they wouldn't cross a doorway, for example, without looking. If there's a potential danger, like a car that's in their way, they'll actually scan it with their weapon to make sure that it's safe. If they're going to be walking in front of a window, they'll check it out. They'll actually understand their environment, which is very important. And this is all things that are going to be systemic. And we're not talking about scripted events. We're not going to be talking about a bunch of guys that are walking in a nice file, and then the minute somebody fires a shot, it all goes to hell. I mean, these guys are going to know and be aware of what's happening around them. It's a big part of humanity. Beyond those AI rules, this is a whole other system, it's a whole other technology that lets them understand what's going on.
Why don't you talk about the nature of performances?
Okay.
And our philosophy that we're not here to see a bunch of talking heads, and that most acting is nonverbal.
Yes.
And how we're
okay, that's awesome.
that.
Should I talk a little bit about that? Cool.
Yeah.
So another area that we've explored quite heavily in Rainbow Six Patriots is the quality of performances in our game. We really wanted to distance ourselves from the very typical cliche talking head-like scenario. We really wanted to make sure that we go out and we sought out very, 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 very talented actors and performers to actually come and be a part of not only the actual animations in the game, but also the cinematic moments in the game as well. We're capturing full performances, so full performance capture in the industry typically means you're capturing the audio, the vocal performance of the actor or actress, the physical, the body, the actual the body movements themselves, as well as the facial. So when you package all this up, you have a fusion of the performance. I always forget the word, I don't know why, but it's a, that sucks, I just wrecked it. I always forget this word, it's so stupid. It's synergy. Synergy is it. Synergy. Bing! Synergy in the performances, that's the word, right? Synergy in a performance is actually really what I didn't even practice this, it's just I just naturally have a block. The synergy in a performance is really what we're going for. We want to package up the face, the vocals, and the body so that we really get a very theatrical performance, something that resonates beyond just the dialogue and goes, and it can be the story and the subtext is extracted even from the body language.
One of the things we added in the game is one-button tactic. So the reasoning behind this is that we wanted players to have a way to play the game where it's very intuitive and it's very easy to get along with. So what that does basically is it guarantees that your teammates are going to do something smart in any sort of context. So this is very complicated for us because in a sense we could just expose every command possible and let you script the entire sequence, which isn't interesting for everybody. So instead what we did is we gave the teammates a set of rules so that they understand what is the most likely scenario. You give them silencers, there's a door that's not locked in front of them, they will try to do a stealth entry because you gave them silencers, so they assume that's what you want to do. The door is locked, they'll try to kick it. This is things that we make happen under the hood so that the player doesn't have to deal with it. At the same time, if you're the kind of player that wants to play very tactical, you open up your X-TOS and you can literally script almost to a point what you want to do. Kick that door, shoot that guy, grenade that guy. And even that layer, we added to one-button tactics. So one thing that's very new in Rainbow Six Patriots is your teammates will actually suggest targets now. So even in a breach sequence, they'll tell you who they would recommend that you let them shoot. And if you agree with that, you just say go and they'll do that. And the way that they pick those targets is, well, it's based on their weapons, it's based on their position. So it's actually a smart target. It's very important for us that when you give a sniper rifle to your teammate, he acts like a sniper. You've already told him what you expected out of him, so there's no reason to really go in much more details. If you want to, you can, but it's important for us to let people just play in a way that is very intuitive. You just want to go with teammate suggestion, you say yes, it happens, and there's a very good chance of success. You are in control of when you say go, so we do ask you to understand the situation to a point, but sometimes just understanding the timing of when to go in is enough. So if you're a gun nut, one thing that's going to be great with Rainbow Six Patriots is we're going to be probably a full game with, sorry, let me do that over. That was bad. I chewed my words.
It's only fair. I mean, after my performance.
Oh, you synergized the
I did. I really did.
I mean, I was feeling it. One of the things that we're going to have in Rainbow Six Patriots, if you really like your weapons, is we're going to have fully realized reloads. So what that means is that if there's interaction with a bolt, if there's a slide that needs to move, a piston that's exposed, anything, you will see it. The hands are all in the right place. They use the triggers. They use the buttons. Everything is being used. So when you reload that weapon, I mean, it's going to be completely realistic up to the last detail. So that does mean that our weapons are modeled inside and out. You like your guns, you know your guns, you're going to see absolutely no mistakes there. Otherwise, people can completely flame me on forums, but we're not going to do that.
Here we go.
So I think people will be really happy about that. It looks great. It really gives another layer of immersion, and it was important for us because reload times are not just balancing anymore. It's about what kind of weapon you have. And not only are they going to be fully realized, you're also going to be able to interrupt them. So you start running with your LMG half open with the belt hanging out. You can keep doing that. When you stop running, just finish your reload. So really, we're reaching a whole new level of realism with that.
Well, obviously, it's a lot of work. We don't let anyone go home, ever, actually. They just don't get to leave. It made a lot of sense. Obviously, in a game where obviously guns are a major part of the game. In many cases, you know, it's kind of who you are, because in a shooter, you see only what's in front of your face most of the time. So the guns are really representative of you and the choices you've made as a player. So spending that kind of level of detail is just, it's just cost of admission, I think, for us.
Well,
But,
to be realistic,
it's been a lot of work, though.
I mean, if we were a third-person game, the character would be the only thing we'd fully realize. But being a first-person shooter, the gun is a big part of your character. It's a big part of your personality. So
it ends up being like an avatar.
yeah, why not put effort?
We always say that characters are the stars, but guns are the show. And that's our priority.
Yeah. So, I mean, we did spend a lot of time. Obviously, there's a lot of research involved. There's someone on the team who specializes. Their job is to make sure that it's authentic. So they're always watching the stuff like a hawk, and I get a lot of notes from them. So
it's a horrible job. He has to go shoot guns, play with them,
Poor
hang out in
guy.
deserts, shoot cars.
Yeah. So, but it's it's been a lot of fun too, because that kind of animators love this meticulous detail because it's what we like to do. So having something to really sink our teeth into like this just makes the job all that much more fun. So it's actually been a lot of fun. Working on this game and the animators, all of us feel the same way. The kind of research we get to do, the type of consultants we get to work with. Like, I've never met a Navy SEAL myself until this project. And I mean, you know, it seems kind of cool, and you know, you can romanticize that idea all you want, but the truth be told, just sitting down and listening to the stories that people like this have to tell are like, I could just sit there for days on end. So I find myself, and I know the whole team has found themselves rather privileged just to have that opportunity. We get to do, like, I mean, if we're not, interviewing Navy SEALs one day, we're going to climbing gyms and having people run down walls and recording that, the other day. If we're not doing that, maybe we're going to a shooting range to actually see what it's like to actually fire real firearms. Like, it's just been an educational experience for everybody, and I don't think anyone's ever going to argue with this, but it's always a lot more fun when you're learning on the job. So it's been a lot of fun.
Part of humanity in the game is also making sure that when you shoot people, it's satisfying, that it's interesting, it's going to be a cool experience. So we're actually going so far as to say that depending on the strength of the weapon, the hit reaction will be, more pronounced. It also includes being shot in, different limbs. You get shot on the legs, not the same as being shot on the shoulder. So to what extent remains to be seen, but you get shot in the shoulder with a sniper rifle, it's not going to be the same as taking a 9mm shot, straight into your ballistic vest. So this is something that we're very passionate about. We want it to be fun. I mean, shooting a shotgun at point blank, it needs to be visceral, it needs to be fun. I want to feel like I'm just tearing somebody up, because that's what it's supposed to be. So it's going to happen. I mean, let's just do it, right? And of course, again, this creates a tremendous amount of work for my friend Brent.
I love work. It's obviously the ambitions were high on this project for the reaction system. The reaction system, again, being one of the major forms of feedback the player gets, has to be good. It's your reward. You did something good in the game, you should get rewarded for that. And as Phil was saying, we have a lot of different types of feedback based on the type of weapon that you're that you're firing, what's striking the target. But I think that it was more than this too. We really wanted to make sure that they were very believable. We wanted to make sure that we really went after a very full body animation sort of experience. So when it's not just always a blended reaction you have on the character. Hitting them in the leg is going to cause them to stumble. There's going to be a lot more. It's very, much more visceral, as Phil was saying. Yeah, it's been a lot of work, but because we're trying to take into account all the different locations on the body to make that different. What direction are you being hit from? So it's just been kind of a ton of work, but it's been a lot of fun too.
Right. People are going to love the throat shot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you want to talk about how you've compartmentalized the hit zones?
Yeah, sure.
And you might actually take the opportunity to talk about your one-shot kill philosophy.
One thing that's very important for me is to make sure that, you do a headshot, somebody goes down. I mean, it's very important. One shot, one kill. You get that precision in, you get the satisfaction of dropping a guy. It's actually part of a whole system in the game, which we call initiative. I mean, very simply, but ultimately what it is your teammates can get a very deadly headshot if you give them time to set up before a fight. So, you take the guys down. And based on that, what we did is we also created a very complex hit location system in the game. So you shoot a guy in the head, in the throat, in the arms, in the legs, in nether regions. I mean, something happens, right? So it's important to feel that precision is accounted for. We're actually going to tell you how accurate you are. You're going to be rewarded for it. But really, because this is Rainbow and we want you to be accurate, I mean, we're totally going for headshots. They're fun, they're satisfying, they're deadly. At the same time, enemies can do it to you as well. So that's why cover is so important. It's all about, positioning and making sure you take your shot at the right time. At the same time, it's making sure that when you shoot those bad guys, I mean, it's just the most satisfying thing ever.
And what would a system be like what would a system like that be without a little feedback? So obviously, if you take someone down, you get a headshot. We've really just filled the library of animations to the brim with a lot of nice variety, what you would expect from taking someone out with a headshot. So it's definitely some very very detailed feedback there.
So the FPS question, we have a very straightforward approach to that. In single player, we really want to have the best experience possible, best AI possible. So although we're going to maintain a very, very good frame rate, very competitive, I mean, I'm talking above 30, right? So we're going to have that. But in multiplayer, the focus is all about responsiveness, being really, really fluid. I mean, smooth controls. So in that instance, we're going to prioritize FPS versus everything else. So we're trying to make sure that, the FPS is controlled where it matters, and where it matters the most is in multiplayer. I mean, personally, I can see when the frame rate drops below 60. So, I mean, when we're testing, I mean, I want to make sure that our frame rate is as high as possible. Of course, I mean, anybody that claims that your frame rate doesn't drop is lying. I mean, chuck 12 frag grenades at the same time, you're not going to keep 60. So I'm not even going to say that. But we're going to have a very, very strong, very competitive frame rate. It's going to be great for multiplayer. Single player, it's going to vary a little bit more, but at the same time, it's to make sure that those cinematic moments can still happen. I mean, I got to have those big explosions sometimes, so that just needs to be there. But we're very aware of where it matters and what we need to do to make people, have a very, very smooth experience.
Why doesn't Rainbow Six feature dismemberment yet? I think it's. Well, yeah, seriously. I mean, because it is a realistic game, and we want to be authentic. So, in those instances when your character is using a .50 caliber sniper rifle and you shoot someone in the shoulder, it's the end of that shoulder. These are anti-vehicle weapons. They're designed to stop tanks, to stop truck engines, diesel engines. The result of an impact on the human body is beyond visceral. It's brutal, and it basically destroys the target. Having said that, with all of the other issues and innovations that we're packing into this Rainbow, this is something we agreed to temporarily delay. Although I think we're both pretty into the idea of this kind of realism. So,
well, I like the fact that, if we did it all the time to the bad guys, it would lose its meaning really quick.
Absolutely.
So what happens in the game actually is you'll see what the bad guys have done to civilians. You might see somebody with an open wound on their throat. Somebody is just trying to stop the blood from coming out. You look at this and go, wow, that's bad. I mean, that's a real weapon wound right there. So rather than, just having it happen all the time, it happens at key moments. You're going to see it. It's going to make you feel something. I find it's more meaningful that way than if it just happened all the time. I mean, blowing legs off with a 12 gauge is fun for a while, but then it's kind of a different tone of game. I mean, if we're hunting zombies, all the way. I mean, forever. But this being just a bit more serious, I mean, we're trying to keep it more, to just meaningful moments, like I said. But like David mentioned, I mean, yeah, you have a 50 cal. I mean, we're very aware of what that weapon can do. I mean, the damage, I mean, yeah, they should expect something dramatic.
This gets dangerous into sort of opinion territory, but I personally believe that it's not even. We took a stance on like, or at least the choices we made. We don't really feel like we need this for this current iteration of Rainbow. Spending a lot of time and energy on really great detailed feedback, animations of being hit, is really, I think it does more than what it needs to do. If the game evolves past that point in future iterations of the game, then great. But right now we've given the player all the feedback that they really need, I think, for sure. It's quite satisfying when I play the game where I'm being ambushed by a bunch of the enemies, and I take them out in the legs and they're stumbling all over the place. This just feels great. I feel like there's no need for limbs flying all over the place. I think that we get a lot out of just that. But I mean,
at the same time,
I know.
A guy standing behind a wooden door, that door blows up somehow. Can't guarantee that guy's going to be turned into a porcupine. So
yeah, exactly.
You know, we're going to have some stuff in there that, you know, it's a little bit more extreme, but I mean, it's all based on the actual real tactics. It's real results. So, you know, it's stuff that we've talked a lot with our consultants about. Said, you know, what should we expect? I mean, what happens? And they've told us in quite, you know, extensive details. So we're trying to get some of that in the game.
Yeah, we want realism, but we don't want it an expensive, sort of cheap, gratuitous violence or gore, right? It's we wanted to provide a realistic, an authentic experience.
That's why we cut the battle axe.
And the chain
Unfortunately,
gun.
we were sad. There was a long debate over the battle axe.
Yes.
Well, Phil and I sit next to one another.
Yeah.
So we talk constantly, every day, along with the game director and the multiplayer lead. Brent sits with his team in another wing of our epically large studio.
Very true.
So I see Brent a few times a week.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, naturally, we need to talk a lot, right? And usually it happens in a very natural way. For instance, as I go off and create the animations for the game and work with my team to do that, I can't not work with Phil and David on a regular basis. Obviously, I need the feedback because I mean, it's very easy. I mean, this is a very animation answer to this question, but it's very, very easy for an animation department to take a section or a feature of a game and just make it look beautiful, and that's all that matters. And we really try to make sure that that doesn't happen, because obviously it doesn't matter if it looks pretty if it doesn't work. So
half the work is making sure that the AI is actually going to use the animations you have and making sure that it's the right context and all that. So there's no way we can do that without talking to each other all the time.
Like from my perspective, obviously I have to deal with David on a regular basis to make sure that it's on note, it's on tune. And then of course, on Phil's side, he's going to punish me if the mechanics are wrong and if I break his stuff, in other words.
It's not responsive.
Yes.
Apparently
responsiveness is an important thing in a game. Whatever, man. Animators disagree, by the way.
Our most common conversation is, can we make that animation faster?
And then
I shorten it?
Usually cry a little bit. There's sometimes
it won't look right.
Yeah.
Gameplay first.
Well, I'm not just with the story team, so I'm the director for the whole project. But when things come to my attention that seem out of character, I absolutely do address these concerns with the animation team. For instance.
Oh God, am I going to get new feedback right now?
Uh-oh.
Is this live on camera?
Is this a meeting?
Yeah, I could give you some. For instance, we had a difficult character. We were selling in the demo you saw. We were selling living the American dream on the worst day of your life. So we've already talked about how important the performance is, and for me, it was critical that we not spend a lot of time having our characters talk. We wanted them to act. So it could be anything from the way a terrorist character holds a cigarette, which could be very suggestive, to the way your wife, when you play a husband character, how your wife walks, how she greets you in the morning. So when I notice these sorts of things, I do call them out if I don't think they're in character. It's very important.
Yeah,
symbolic.
David tends to be, when he's not busy directing the whole project, he's also the litmus test for taste. So if something's off taste or just doesn't fit, because obviously he's the watchdog on a sort of a global level when it comes to the fiction and the narrative as well as everything else. So I'll be the first one to know, usually. And it makes
Sorry.
It's okay. Just doing your job.